Hi, Bobby. So I already looked over your lesson plan. Here's my feedback. So 8th grade language arts, the biggest challenge I ever had in using clauses. Holy cow. I love how you organize this lesson plan. I love that they already have a rough draft, that they're going to look at professional writing and then compare it to their own so that they are beginning to read like writers. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Very nicely done. And you, congratulations, authentically incorporated math in language arts, and that may be the first time I've ever seen that done and done well. Nice job. All right, so the only things, so I think your assessments are perfect, your learning activities are very good, having the students do the graphic organizer, or excuse me, the worksheet and the math on their own, allowing them a help if they struggle in math. I would have been that student struggling in math and needing my partner's help. And going over the questions. Hold on, let me scroll down to where I'm at. I talked a little quicker than I scrolled. Okay, good, excellent. So walking through these questions, right? So you went ahead and did this. You can see the differences. Let's talk about why. Let's talk about what that does to our papers. Beautiful, just beautiful. And thank you so much for scripting these pieces out too. It really helps me to hear your voice in my head. The place I want to press you on practicing is this right here. All right, so step 1, read through for complete sentences. Step 2, read through for run-on sentences. And then I went ahead and looked at your worksheets below too. You jumped them right from taking notes on the information to looking to apply that information into their own work. That can be a little tricky, and I might recommend a second step in between. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to your notes here. All right, so you're giving them these notes, and they're doing the guided notes. A sentence is made up of one or more clauses. A clause is a structure in a sentence that has a subject and a predicate. Just here alone, a sentence is made up of a clause, and a clause has a subject and a predicate. Do you know for sure? Yeah, I want you to think scaffolding here, okay? I want you to think a lot of tapping pre-existing schema, okay? Because you know sentence is made up of clause, and you're like, in your head, okay, they may not know what clause is. So clause is a subject and a predicate. Okay, I'm going to refresh them on what predicate means. Predicate is the verb and anything that modifies the verb. Look at how you threw 1, 2, 3, 4 definitions at them right up front. That's a lot for some kids. That is a lot. Especially in 8th grade, right? When they get new information thrown at them, even though you have examples here, right? A complete sentence is a subject, a predicate, and a complete thought, okay? They know that definition, and you're reviewing it with them. You're showing examples to them, and that's good. But for some reason, here's what happens in their head. You write this. The boy ran to the store, and you go, what's the subject? Boy. What's the predicate? Ran to the store. Excellent. Is it complete thought? Yes. Good. Go ahead and look for that in your writing. And man, they fall flat on their face because this sentence is so, this is a simple sentence. It was designed for practice, right? They're not going to really have sentences like this in their paper. So talking to them about, you have examples of fragments. Learned about history. This sentence has no subject. Was tired and went to bed. This sentence also has no subject. Kids aren't necessarily going to see those things in their paper. They may need just a little bit more practice. As much as I hate to say it, just like a little bit of a worksheet, or, you writing a paragraph that has some sentences that have fragments or run-ons in them, so that they're not looking at sentences, practices in isolation like this, but that they're looking at a whole paragraph written, and you're going through it together as a class, and pull some of those common mistakes kids will make. Starting a sentence with the word because. Really common problem, okay? So here we are, an independent clause has a complete subject-predicate pairing. Dependent clause has a complete subject-predicate pairing, but it can't stand alone. they're connected to an independent clause, usually by a comma and conjunction, man, you're throwing a lot of information at them. And remember, some of these kids are like 13 years old, and you're like independent clause, dependent clause, comma, conjunction, predicate, subject, fragment, run-on, and their little brains are going to start twirling around and not be able to keep up with this much information, okay? Allow them to experience before you label. Have them read a paragraph that you wrote and that you know you made some of these mistakes. So let me read this out loud to you. Does that sound right to you? Maybe, maybe not. Oh, look, it's because I put a period at the end, but that's a dependent clause. Let's go look at what a dependent clause means. So they're kind of switching back and forth between experience it in a paragraph, write it in their notes, look at example in the notes. Experience in a paragraph, write it in their notes, look at an example in their notes, okay? Because I think for you, this is like, you're sitting here going, okay, I know that these kids know this stuff. This is just review. And they do know this stuff. It is just review, and they freak out when it comes to grammar, right? Like just every time, right? So you're running through all this stuff up here, independent, dependent clauses, and conjunctions, and the 4 sentence types. It's just a little too much for kids. Chunk it down way smaller so that you're doing like, look at the paragraph and then look at 1 through 3. Then look at the paragraph, then look at, 4, 5, and 6. Look at the paragraph, then look at 7, 8, 9. Okay, little tiny chunks working back and forth between what they already know, experiencing it, labeling it. What they already know, experiencing it, labeling it. Okay, just to get more of a flow like that instead of chucking it at them at once, because it's just too much for their little noggins to handle. But if you just broke this stuff down into smaller chunks, maybe even multiple lesson plans, I don't know about that, but definitely smaller chunks, I think that this is very, very well done. Nicely put together. I love this chart. It's a great way to get them to think like writers. So other than chunking, Bobby, very nice job. Thank you.